Because we said, episode 1, hello, hello.
Welcome to Because We Said, a podcast focused on building strong families, relationships, and kids. My name is Dave Clements.
And I'm Wendy Clements, his wife.
Yeah, and
we're also joined by our 7-month-old baby.
Yeah.
So you might hear her.
Hello, Eily Joy. This is a family podcast. And I think I just explained what our goal is here.
Yeah.
And this episode, we want to kind of explain to you what we plan on talking about in future episodes and how in the world we even got here.
Yeah.
Because this is not our first foray into the podcasting thing.
Yeah. I was going to say something funny, but it didn't come out.
That's all right. You're a little tired.
I am tired.
Something about having a 7-month-old and sleeping.
Or lack thereof.
Yeah. Although I slept great.
Yeah. You didn't have to wake up in the middle of the night and nurse her and get her back to sleep.
That's true.
There's that.
So, let's talk a little bit about who we are because we are not licensed professionals. So,
we have no credentials to give you advice whatsoever, but you should still listen.
I once had a certificate of being awesome in graphic design in high school, but that doesn't really apply here.
Doesn't apply here. No.
I've won 4-H ribbons. Doesn't work.
Still doesn't work.
Okay.
No. But we are a family, and we have gone through some things, and we have tips and tricks and helpful hints, and that's kind of, I guess, maybe one reason why I'm doing this is to help give other people advice.
And the reason I'm doing this, other than the fact that I love to podcast, is because I believe that every family needs some help from time to time.
Yeah.
And that includes us.
I
mean, we've been married for 7 years come this
3
October.
weeks. Yeah.
And even in those 7 years, I mean, right now, at this very point in time, as I'm recording this, as I'm talking to you, and you're listening to it in your ear holes, we still need help. I mean, we don't have it figured out.
Well, no, we've not been married 20, 30, 40 years.
Now,
you know?
but granted, if you're listening to this 13 to 20-some years from now, then we have been, but we probably still don't have it figured out.
And I don't think we ever will, but I think that's kind of the point.
Yes.
That, not everybody has... Obviously, nobody has it completely figured out. Some people might look like they do, but... everybody has struggles.
Right.
And I think maybe that's where we're coming from.
Yeah.
That, you know what, you're not alone in this journey of being married, having a family, having kids, or even just being a person in general, because we're all that.
Yep.
You're not alone. And we just kind of want to pal up alongside you and kind of give advice as needed.
Yeah, I mean, this podcast is definitely about building a community, which you can be a part of by going to, let me plug a link here.
Yeah.
BecauseWeSaidShow.com/FB or /Facebook. You can use either one of those, and it'll take you to our Facebook group where you can just click the join group button, and Wendy or I will say, yeah, you're cool enough. You can be in our club, and then I like to ask questions to give us some ideas for new episodes. I can't even think of anything that I have on there right now, but I will look it up on my phone as we continue to talk.
Well, I think we put out, the very first thing that we put out was picky eaters, so we'll probably be doing an episode about that soon. Picky eaters and what you do to get kids to eat, and I don't know. We haven't nailed down everything that we want to do in this podcast. But I would like to implement a question of the week. Now, granted, the question of the week we will post on our Facebook group. We're not doing a page just because we want some genuine interaction instead of just oh, I saw it in my Facebook feed, but whatever. Yeah, right.
I mean, you're going to get notifications when we post things. But
let me go ahead and just throw this question out there. This was one of the more recent things that I did on our group. It says, what kinds of subjects are you interested in discussing in this group and on the show? Also, what seem to be your strengths and weaknesses as a spouse or a parent?
Yeah.
And that really sums up a lot of what we want to talk about on the show.
Do you want to maybe go over that question for ourselves?
That isn't it. How about this? We are going to answer that question at the end of the episode,
okay,
should we remember. But I would like to give everybody a little bit of background about who we are,
okay,
how we got here,
yeah,
that kind of thing. So, how about you explain how and wow?
okay.
Because I love listening to you explain
Okay.
this.
So, how and wow, it's what type of person you are. David is a wow person, and I am generally... Did I say that right?
Yes, I am a wow person.
You're a wow person, and I am a how person. And how, if you're either one, if you show up to your wife and say, hey, let's do this. Or if you show up and you say, we need to figure out a few things before we can do that. Generally, that, you are a wow person if you're the one saying, hey, let's do this. And you are a how person if it takes you a few minutes to catch up with that.
I guess see, it sounded like you were totally going for a redneck joke there.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not. I have no qualms about... I love rednecks.
You might be a redneck.
No. So, I guess if you might be a wow person if you frequently say, hey, let's do... ...
Let's do a podcast.
Let's do a podcast.
I don't know what we're talking about, but let's do a podcast.
Hey, let's be a truck driver.
Yeah.
Hey, let's do something new. You're generally a wow person if that's you.
And you have no plan behind it. I can attest to that.
David is the wow person in our relationship. And you're a how person when you're like, yeah, but we need to do 5 things before we can do that wow thing.
Yeah.
Like, I could just see it now. Hey, let's go on vacation to Bermuda. Okay, but how are we going to pay for that? So, the wow person is generally the one who throws out the big idea. And the how person is like, okay, this is what we need to do to accomplish that. And generally in every marriage or relationship, there is a how person and a wow person. I think that's kind of neat that God usually pairs up. It's kind of like that opposites attract kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That, you kind of, you have one of each in every relationship. And, I don't know. I guess that's where we are. We both, and not to say that how people can't have wow moments, but they're very far and few between.
Right.
Because I would classify myself as a dreamer, but I'm very much okay, I want to do this, but I've got 5 things to do before I get there.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm not
and you're
that way.
fly by the seat of your pants. You're just like, let's do it. I don't need to know steps. I just want to do it.
Yeah, case in point, this podcast is one of them. I'm just like, hey, actually, let me take a step back. The podcast we did before this, David Lives Here, it was a totally other thing before. Mm-hmm. And finally I got to a point where I was just like, I don't like this format. And I feel like my wife is awesome enough to podcast. So I basically went from doing a solo show to bringing her in, and it totally just flipped the whole show on its head, that it wasn't just about me, it was about our family and the mm-hmm. things that we do and learn and things like that. And it seriously went this quick. We did like 2 episodes together, and yeah. I decided, no, I don't want it to be called David Lives Here anymore because it sounds too selfish and egotistical, and that's not me, so let's shut it down and start a new one. Well, we started this one. And I spent a week and a half, 2 weeks just like texting Wendy while I was at work, just like, oh, hey, here's an idea for a show name.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what we can talk about.
And here's my how personality coming out. It's like, I don't think that's it. And I don't know if I'm a how person so much as a necessity. It's just I'm a procrastinator. And I think that maybe it's just like, okay, yeah, I'd like to do that, but man, I've got piles and piles of laundry to do. Or, I've got to cook dinner. Or, the baby's awake. So
Whereas,
I don't know how to...
I wasn't doing any of that. I mean, once we decided, Because We Said is an awesome title, I went and got BecauseWeSaidShow.com. And then from there, it was like, okay, now it's cover art. Now we gotta da-da-da-da-da. And Wendy's like, well, what are we talking about again?
Yeah.
She's like, I know this is a family thing, but like...
Yeah.
What? Let's slow down here. And actually, I mean, even right now as we record this, we don't know what we're talking about on the next episode, and we don't
have some good ideas.
Yeah, it's like the ideas are floating there, but there's nothing concrete, which is really hard. I know for you, babe.
It is hard for me.
You are like the list maker.
Yeah,
I can see you being the one to like type up our show notes and just being like, so this episode, babe, we're gonna talk about this.
Yeah.
You're not gonna go on some stupid rant and offend people because you think you're funny.
Yeah, I do kind of do that, don't I?
Yeah, well, I love you for it. But see, I don't know how I want to say this. You are...
I'm your filter?
Yeah, and David does the same job on my other podcast. Yeah. So I'm used to having to be reeled in and like, you can't say that. Or that was just not funny. Just why don't you cut that out? Let's start over again.
Yeah.
Which we've done once or twice so far.
Yes.
So anyway, that's kind of how we got to this point and starting this podcast. But like we said, the focus is about building strong, really to boil it down, strong relationships.
Yeah.
Whether it's a marriage, family dynamic,
father-daughter.
Yeah, I mean, heck, even being friends. I mean, I would like to talk about all of that.
Yeah.
And I think we said so before, but it's a community thing.
We said so?
Yeah.
That was punny.
Unintentionally, actually.
Yeah.
But, okay, Eileen's got Mommy's microphone cord. That's not good.
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, we're keeping it real.
We're safe. We're uncut. This is because we said raw.
Give her that toy. That might help.
Oh, she wants that.
Oh, okay.
All right. This is real, guys. We're not even faking it anymore.
Nope.
She's like, Dad's using the computer, and I need to do that.
I need to touch buttons.
So please. I'm gonna give her the mouse.
Ooh-wee.
Which she may or may not want.
Did you turn that mouse off before you did? Okay.
I did. So anyway, this is a community.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, we're going to be posting questions. I'm probably going to do it a lot just because I get excited about this stuff. It's the wow. It's the wow part of me.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be posting a lot of questions. And I want us to start a dialogue that's not just, because I talk a lot, as proven. I mean, 13 minutes in, and I've probably dominated about 9 of them.
Yeah.
If not more.
Yeah, but we're just kind of, I don't know. Usually I'm a talker pretty much, but I don't know. I want to see, not necessarily that we don't have a vision for this, but again, I'm a how person. I'm trying to think of things 2 steps ahead,
And I'm like 10 steps ahead. I'm thinking years from now.
Yes.
When we're like the biggest podcast on the internet and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. So yeah,
I guess for me, a reason for me to do this is, when we usually do this is when the kids are asleep.
Oh.
And it's just kind of nice to have like a date time, and it is talking about things that we would normally just sit here on the couch and talk back and forth about. And I think that for me is one thing that I am kind of excited to see, because we always say, man, I wish we would have had a microphone in front of us when we talked about this or that, or, that conversation that one time. Just so we could kind of go back and just even reference it and say, hey, do you remember saying this? Or,
Yeah. Or, I remember talking about this one thing, and now I feel differently about it.
Yeah.
Which we do a lot.
We do.
So that's kind of an introduction to who we are. Nobody special. We're just a couple people that want to talk to each other and other people.
Well, maybe also to kind of go in, I assume that people we know are going to listen to this, but maybe there are some people who don't.
I would assume, and I hope, there are a lot of people that don't know who we
are. Yeah. What about you? What do you do?
That's an awesome question, babe.
Yeah.
Nice setup.
Yeah.
So before, as of, honestly, a week ago, I was fully expecting to be a CDL Class A licensed truck driver.
Right.
And
I was fully expecting him to be a CDLA licensed truck driver as well.
I went at the beginning of August. The company that I worked for, they sent me down to Indianapolis because we are from Indiana. And Grumpy Pants.
She is kind of grumpy, isn't she? Bunny trail.
Sorry. Wow. She is so much fun.
Yeah. But she is.
There you go.
So.
Grouch.
So you went down.
So they sent me down to Indianapolis at the beginning of August, the first week of August, for schooling, and it was supposed to be a 3-week course, and by the end of that 3 weeks, I would go down to the state facility and basically take a skills test and pass, and I'd be on my way to driving across the country and all this other stuff. And that's really where we planned for our lives to take us, especially me. That's where I expected that's what I expected my job to be. And unfortunately, it took a lot longer than expected. I ended up being there for 7 weeks, and finally, between talking to the school and talking to my company, they just said, we're only going to give you a 7th chance, but we're going to work with you so you can go down there, because I kept failing, and still, I don't know what happened. And last Thursday, as I record this, so trying to think of what the date would have been.
The 18th?
Something like
maybe?
that. 18th of September.
19th maybe?
They sent me down there, and I failed. And, I kind of had to do the walk of shame back to the school and just tell them, I failed again. And they said, well, there's nothing else we can do. We got to send you home. So I came home, and I'll be really honest, I had a meltdown. We went through all of the stages of grief and depression in about 10-15 minutes, which is an awesome experience.
If you've never been there, maybe you should not try that.
But, and it went from me having a job, a very, very good paying job, to me not knowing what I was doing. And luckily the company, when I went and talked to my boss, he's like, technically, at the end of today, you don't work here anymore. We have to terminate you. But here are some opportunities where you can still work for the company, but you won't ever be a truck driver unless you go get your CDL by yourself, which is kind of expensive.
And for me, being a how person, that thoroughly freaked me out. But I will say also that I did have peace about what was happening, what was going on. But at the same time, you know, our future is a little bit up in the air at the moment. So as of right now, I mean, you're kind of employed, but you're not.
Yeah, it's like, it's a weird middle ground where, I mean, I've talked to somebody at the company, and they're like, well, you can work in the warehouse, you know, we'll set you up with that, but it's like, I don't really know when I start, what I'm getting paid, that kind of thing. So it's a weird situation.
Yeah.
So right now, at this very point in time,
you are a full-time podcaster.
Yeah. Which is, it doesn't pay very well. I could say that, honestly. But, you know, on the side, when I have the chance, I do some graphic design work and things like that. So if you don't like the cover art for the podcast, you just have to blame me, because I made it, but I like it.
And so
that's kind of what I do.
Okay.
I also do another podcast, which I kind of mentioned, called Geek This. Links in the show notes. But what about you, babe?
What do I do?
Yeah, what do you do?
What don't I do? No, I'm kidding.
That's actually a pretty good question.
I am the hub of our house. Not the hubbin', but the hub.
Yeah, you're the center of our house. Everything revolves around.
Eiley would agree. Basically, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I love it. I like taking care of our house. I love cooking, and I don't like the cleaning so much, but I like to cook. And I homeschool our 5, almost 6-year-old little girl, and I take care of our 7-month-old baby and make sure that, you know, everybody's taken care of. Everybody has clean underwear, and
I need mine washed, by the way.
They're in the washer right now, actually. And then everybody has a clean diaper on.
I do not need a diaper.
You don't need a diaper?
No,
I'm glad to hear that.
No.
I'm actually really glad to hear that.
I mean, granted, we ate Chinese last night, but I don't need a diaper. Yeah, I mean...
I like to be creative. I like to craft things.
Minecraft?
Not Minecraft.
Sorry, Gracie's not here, so she hears the word craft.
Minecraft? What?
She's like the seagulls in Finding Nemo.
Mine.
Mine. Get it? Mine.
Yeah, I get
Minecraft.
it. That's really good. Yeah, this is good.
Don't.
But I like
big. Oh.
No.
No.
I don't know where to go from there.
Let me just say this.
Yeah.
You know,
I like to laugh. There we go.
Yeah, every man is gonna say that their wife is the best wife out there. I'm gonna add to that and say that my wife is better than your wife.
That's not very nice.
Starting controversy on episode 1.
This is where I have to reel you in, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. I've had 2 cans of Mountain Dew today, so it's probably part of it.
Yeah, I could.
And I've had bacon. Bacon is like worse than Mountain Dew. So, no, I mean, seriously, it's amazing. It was actually proof that, you know, little girl, you gotta quiet down. We're doing a show here.
She wants to be involved also. Wow. She says, I have a voice too.
It's honestly amazing to me because, before I went to CDL school, I was actually on the road with another driver, learning the ropes, so to speak. And I did that for 3 months. And during those 3 months, to come home on a Friday, or late Thursday, and come home and see that our house, while messy,
Yes.
was not ashes. It was not on fire, and both of my children were still alive.
Yeah.
That shows that I have a very strong and amazing wife.
But I didn't burn the house down, and I could feed and clothe our kids and myself.
I didn't say anything about them being clothed,
That's
but I don't
true, 'cause
remember them
neither-
running around naked.
That's
so.
true. Although Gracie sometimes would love to do that.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But it's, I can't help but say that I have an amazing wife.
Thank you.
It's not to give me brownie points because we can't make brownies. I haven't fixed our oven, so
We're keeping it real, y'all. I have a messy house and an oven that doesn't work.
and a husband that doesn't work right now too. So
You've got stuff in the works, though.
Right.
And I think for me, if I could just be an encouragement to you, I
Yeah.
think that's my job as a wife.
Yeah. But, seriously, I feel like I have an amazing wife, and that this podcast, the other podcast, anything else that I've done in the past 7 years wouldn't even, it wouldn't be here. I don't know that I'd be here without you.
Aw,
Serious.
thank you.
Because, you are the glue in our family. And they're not just like Elmer's glue that wears off after a while. You're like super glue, like Loctite glue.
It sticks skin together.
To the point where sometimes I just get really honked off with you.
Yeah. I know. I can be clingy. You like that glue joke?
That was good.
Yeah. See, I'm not the humorous one in the family.
Good,
that was pretty bad.
All right. So, enough of the mushy stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Mush.
Let's go ahead and jump back to the question that we kind of had. We don't want to talk too much longer. But what are some things that you want to talk about on this podcast? Any topic that's interesting to you. Just a couple.
For me, maybe things that make everyday life easier for moms or wives, to be an encouragement to wives and moms. As my child rolls around on the floor, to be able to, I don't know, give tips and tricks and hints, and also to help. I think you can't build a family if you're wanting to build a family. You can't build it without God, and I think that is.
As she chases after the kid.
She just grabbed a spider.
I'm killing it right now.
Grosses me out. Sorry. But I think, you said something about the glue that holds everything together, and I don't think that I'm necessarily the glue. I think that God is our glue, and I think that if I can encourage other wives and moms and families out there, that's my goal.
Awesome. Wow. And
What about you?
well, it's weird because, just while you were talking, I was thinking about, well, what am I going to say when it is my turn? Yeah. And now it is. But wow, awkward dead silence.
Editing.
Yeah.
I know somebody who could do that.
I kind of already talked about my goal, so I guess maybe some things that I'm interested in talking about is, how, I'm not necessarily coming from just the guy's perspective here, but something that does interest me is the dads out there that are listening. How do you maintain that balance of being dad, but kind of This sounds really weird. But kind of being your kid's friend, too, because just to kind of give background. Boy, she is loud. She is loud. Just to give some background on that, Gracie and I, Gracie is... Hey, enough of that. Stop it. I'm going to come over there, and I'm going to pull on your ears.
Oh, no, we don't want him to pull on your ears.
Gracie is, she'll be 6 this year, and we are... This is why I used to podcast by myself. Hey, Peanut Gallery. Hey. Gotta be quiet. Okay, please be quiet.
She said she wants to talk to Daddy.
Gracie and I I like our relationship. Because I'm gonna have to turn my wife down. Gracie and I are... I call Gracie my buddy. She's my pal. We do a lot of the same things together. She likes her comic books and video games and things like that. She's kind of like my little boy that we haven't had.
Yeah.
So... Oh, man. A little girl.
She's wanting your attention.
Yeah. So... This is falling apart. Yeah. So anyway, Gracie and I mean, we like so many of the same things, and there are days where I'm not dad enough, or maybe I'm not buddy enough. It's kind of hard to explain, but we're two peas in a pod, and we can't help but be that way. And I'm not talking about being a friend over being a parent.
Right. You have to set a boundary. You have to say, okay, I'm a parent right now. But then there are moments where you do need to be a buddy.
Yeah, and it's not, it's like, okay, let's snuggle on the couch. Let's watch some cartoons. Let's read some comic books. Yeah, let's play Minecraft. Any of that stuff. But it's like, how, as a father, or really even as a mother, too, as a parent, how do you find that balance? That's interesting to me.
And I think that maybe that's one really good topic, because a lot of people would say, no, you have to be a parent 24/7, 365 days a year. There is no time to quabble on, being a buddy. You have to set...
You got to put your foot down.
You got to put your foot down. Yeah. But, especially with girls, I think that there's a little bit different of a take on that. And I can't wait to do a podcast on that.
Yeah. And I think another thing that is kind of interesting for me, granted, I've been married for almost 7 years now, but I have friends that are single, or I have friends that don't have kids yet.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for whatever reason, I kind of want to get back into that mind. I want to kind of pick it apart. It's like... just different ways to approach life. I would actually like to, even if we had a segment, for single people, or
for young married people.
Yeah,
or even people who have a kid that's a lot younger than ours.
Yeah. There are a lot of interesting topics that I think we're going to cover, and as we kind of close out the episode here. That's where you as a listener come in, because, every single American, if you're American, I don't care if you're Canadian, every person alive is busy. Especially here in America, we live a very fast-paced lifestyle.
Even in Indiana.
Yeah. And with that said, I can sit here and I can probably write down 10 to 15 pages of things that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
But it honestly, to a degree, in the end, it doesn't matter what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
If we have listeners that they have a specific topic that's interesting to them and they want our thoughts or I guess I shouldn't say they, but you know, if you have thoughts on a topic, you can share them with us. I mean, heck, I would love to even bring you in on a Skype call.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And just, you know, have real people tell us real stories and experiences and tips and tricks. I mean, that is really the core of this, is building a community. And Wendy and I can sit here and talk all day about all this stuff. But it doesn't mean anything unless we have feedback and interaction with a community.
Yeah.
So, that got like super serious all of a sudden.
That's okay.
So, yeah, as we wrap this up, I'll give you our contact information. We're still working some things out, and ways to contact and get a hold of us. And that thing eventually, I'd like for us to have a phone number where you could call and you can leave a message. You can also do that at our website. You can go to becausewesaid.show.com, and there will be some obvious ways for you to leave a voicemail. It'll be right there on the screen, and that'll work with mobile devices, your laptop, and that kind of thing. But to be super quick about it, you could just go to becausewesaid.show.com/contact, and there will be just a little feedback form. You can put your name and your email and your message. Don't worry, we're not going to share your email or anything like that. That's just so we can get in touch with you. But we would love to hear your stories and your experiences and your ideas for future episodes.
Yeah.
So, from Kokomo, Indiana, we just want to say thanks for listening, and we hope to hear from you guys soon.